You're listening to the Trading Bear Podcast. This is episode 61, Daily Show.
Mystery player. Position.
Forward.
Start price.
71p.
Current price.
£1.74.
PB.
0.
MB.
0.
Dividend yield.
0%.
Welcome back, thanks for joining in. In today's news, Rodri, the Atletico Madrid defensive midfielder, took a step closer to the leaving club today after telling the club he wishes to leave. Atletico are holding out for the full €70 million fee release clause as detailed in his contract, and all that remains now is for Manchester City and Bayern Munich to battle out for who can provide the most attractive package. With Thiago already at Bayern doing exactly the same job and the likely higher wages at City, it's thought that Rodri will pluck for the Manchester club and become Guardiola's first summer signing. On this latest news then, Rodri climbed a further 17p to now sit at £1.41. Elsewhere, Juventus and Paris Saint-Germain look set to conclude an indirect player swap, with current PSG midfielder Rabiot set to sign a 5-year contract deal worth €7 million a season, joining on a free transfer, with current Juventus winger 28-year-old Douglas Costa heading the other way after negotiations with fellow Brazilian Leonardo at the French capital club. And lastly, former UEFA president and French great Michel Platini is being questioned by French anti-corruption investigators over the awarding of the 2022 World Cup to Qatar. Who saw corruption allegation story surrounding Qatar being awarded the 2022 World Cup? Well, yes, just about everybody. Nevertheless, the stadiums are rising, and so are the prices of every goal scorer at the Under-21 Euro tournament. And that's where we head now for today's risers and fallers. In what has become quite possibly the easiest trend to ever profit from on Football Index, each day the leading strikers of each participating nation are being bought at a rate of knots. You don't even have to have the foresight of buying 2 days beforehand. England's spearhead for the tournament, Dominic Solanke, has risen 17p in the last 24 hours, currently priced at 99p pre-match, after hitting a peak price earlier today of £1.05, as Euro Under-21 hits fever pitch. The same was experienced last night with the two German strikers, Richter and Waldschmidt, and again the night before that with Chiesa for Italy. However, be slightly wary. If any lessons can be learnt from the Under-20 tournament just a few days ago, then players' prices will peak in round 1 matches before being sold off as the teams exit one by one. An example of one such player experiencing this sell-off will be discussed later in the question and answer section. Now, one player who did experience a mass sell-off based on the Under-21 tournament was Austrian attacking midfielder Hans Wolf, but not due to poor performance or lack of goals. In fact, Hans Wolf was all set to become one of the top risers yesterday, scoring the first goal for his team before, sadly for his holders, sustaining a horrific leg break with his ankle appearing to snap in two. His price reached a peak of £1.03 upon the goal being scored, and then rocketed down to a low of 68p upon news of the injury, before spending a bit of time yo-yoing between the 68 and 76p mark, as traders lurking in the deep blooded water sensed an opportunity to buy a very fancied young player on a big dip. Now, Wolf is due to complete his move from Salzburg to RB Leipzig on July the 1st, and will no doubt be extremely eager to return and make his debut for the Bundesliga side, who take part in the Champions League this year. It's a real shame for a player that was starting to show the talent beyond the hype. But if recent injuries are anything to go by, despite the nature of the injury, his price will soon bounce back for those patient enough to hold. We go into this episode's prospect player now, a player who I feel could do well in the near future and attract buys. For this episode we head to the land of the Pharaohs and an adopted Merseyside native, at least on the red half, and a player that can most certainly currently be classified as a premium hold. So why is Mo Salah this episode's prospect player? Well, despite his relatively poor PB game, Salah makes up for it with his Pogba-like media pool, and with the African Cup of Nations all set to be the latest summer tournament to get underway this Friday the 21st as Egypt open up against Zimbabwe, expect to see Salah dominate the papers on match days alongside the king of media himself, Paul Pogba. And as much as it pains myself to say it, an opening Premier League match on Friday night against newly promoted Norwich looks ripe for early purchases. especially money coming from those new users who will join the platform in July/early August time. Well, at least I don't have to assess the likelihood of Suarez putting another free past us, I guess. Let's have a look at some of your questions now then. This episode's first question comes via email, with Aaron Kearney asking, "Hi Trading Bear, curious to know your thoughts on Neymar's price on the back of the news that he wants to move away from Paris Saint-Germain. I always thought playing in the French league made him a standout player for PB, and therefore supported his price at the top of FI. I was surprised then to see his price rise on the back of this news, as I assumed a move to a harder league would eliminate his advantage over other players. What are your thoughts on this?" First things first then, Neymar's current price is £7.17 and has seen a price increase circa to 20p since the news broke a few days back. So my thoughts then on the price rise. Well, I think this is a delicate purchase. There's no doubting Neymar's suitability for Football Index. Both his PB game and MB game are very well suited to the platform, and hence he sits at the top of the index. However, several factors are now flagging up on his shall I buy screen, so to speak. Firstly, no matter how untrue or true these rape allegations prove to be, the story certainly won't be going away anytime soon. Just look at fellow global superstar Ronaldo at Juventus. Secondly, he's starting to become really injury prone and is no longer young at the age of 27. While certainly not old, these injuries, which are not just 3 to 4 week knot type injuries, start to take their toll and can easily become chronic, especially with the treatment Neymar receives on the pitch. Admittedly, his antics don't help in this regard. So regardless of whether he's playing in La Liga or La Liga de Timbuktu, if he's not on the pitch, he can't win PB. He also has the Champions League ban after slapping and punching that French supporter last season, and traders are simply buying on the notion of a transfer story/saga and some media wins that go with that, which will arrive of course, but I agree, his PB will drop if he does move. In the words of Paddy McGuinness, it's a no likey for me. Question 2 arrives via Twitter, with FI Force wanting to know the following. "Hi Bear, do you know why Spanish forward Borja Mayoral dropped 10p? Is there an injury, or is it purely as Spain lost and there's no goal there?" So during the rises and fallers section of this episode, I mentioned the recently highly popular trend of buying goal scorers for the teams participating in the under-21 Euros. Now of course this is all well and good if they score, but as soon as they blank, that's it, they clearly shouldn't be playing football, and that rise will soon come straight back down. Now there's absolutely no injury or story here for Mayoral whatsoever, and the fall is rather just a clear case of a striker not meeting that instant demand of those buying. Mayoral was a standout option to buy a week or so pre-tournament and then sell risk-free pre-match. Unlike Chiesa, he hasn't set the world alight at club level this year for Levante and didn't offer that security of a legitimate hold post-tournament. Should Chiesa have blanked, then he still has that strong likelihood of moving to a bigger club, and the rises that would potentially bring in the near future. So with 99% of these tournament buys, you want to buy a week or so pre-tournament. Sell on the day of the match and then bank the profit. Yes, you would miss out on a greater rise if they score a brace like Richter did, for Germany for example, but if you want to take that extra risk, why not just make a bet at the standard bookies? Don't get greedy, and there's plenty of reward in these trades. And that's it for this episode. You can download and subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify and Podbean. Head over to the website to send in a question, tradingbearpodcast.com. Alternatively, you can find me on IndexGain or Twitter under the name Trading Bear. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for the Mystery Player.
Mystery player. Position.
Forward.
Start price.
71p.
Current price.
£1.74.
PB.
0.
MB.
0.
Dividend yield.
0%.
Trading Bear. Today's mystery player was Italian under-21 striker Federico Chiesa.